Welcome to the Rebels and Rituals Pod with me, Daisy Guy. This podcast is about choices, the ones that follow tradition and the ones that break away from it. It's about rebels and ritual keepers and the paths they carve for themselves. Today's guest is someone who's taken her life experiences and turned them into something powerful. Parneet Kaur is a creative force behind Melrosia London. But her story isn't just about the brand she's created. It's about finding herself, owning her truth, and creating something that reflects the strength she's built along the way. This episode is about resilience, self-worth, and creating from a place of authenticity. Parneet, welcome to Rebels and Rituals.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I always like to start this with allowing people to sort of tell us about themselves, but mainly like about your upbringing, because I think that kind of creates the foundation of who you are. And I think knowing about someone's childhood allows people to sort of understand maybe why you made some of the choices you made in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you're absolutely right about the stories from childhood that actually build who you are. And that's exactly how it's happened for me. Growing up, I was always bullied for being a big kid. I was big all my life. And it wasn't just about the weight. It's all the things that brought with it, the bullying, the going to school and not having any friends, not being able to fit into all the trendy clothes that everyone was wearing. Despite coming from a clothing background, I could never really wear anything nice. And I think there was a lot of, in flat words, I hated myself, and it was very hard, and you didn't understand what was happening because everyone else around you was so normal, but you never felt like that. So I think a lot of what I dealt with and what I was battling was so internal at that point. And I think where I found something was I was always looking for ways to feel good about myself.
Right.
And it was very hard because you didn't really know at that age what would make you feel good, especially with, kids pulling you at school or your family members treating you in a different way.
How old are you talking? Because I'm thinking like chubby baby, cute. And then are you talking like pre-puberty?
Yeah,
like tweens?
I was like big up until like the end of school. So it was like
Until
throughout
your teens?
Yeah, through my teens. And I never felt like normal. I never felt good about myself. And, there was lots of, parents come from a nice place, but there was also parents treating you differently because you were different, people treating you differently because you looked different.
Right.
And, going out shopping, you couldn't really find anything because plus size wasn't really an option. So you couldn't even dress up to make yourself feel good, really.
Yeah.
And that's when, growing up, you always have, especially as Asian kids, you always have your mothers and, their hand-me-downs and things like that. And I managed to find this jewelry box, which had some of the trinkets that my mom grew up with. And that was the first time when I wore those pieces, I felt really good about myself. I just felt like, oh, this is so beautiful. I felt pretty, which I had never felt like before in my life because it was just awful. Like clothes never fit me. And I think that was the first spark I had, which was like, oh, okay, this is something I could work with. And it started from there. And like how people travel, they get souvenirs and I used to buy jewelry. Everywhere I went, I just had this eye for really unique things because that is what made me feel like me, So I would just throw on these old, boring, saggy clothes and I would just dress it up with jewelry. And that became my style. And that's pretty much how I've dressed through and through all these years.
Comfort with some accents that just kind of stand out.
Absolutely. So it's just been about finding that one thing that worked for me. And it just gave me so much joy. And it really brought me out of those deep, nasty feelings that I felt. And it felt like I could work with this. I could feel myself. And, especially when people start complimenting.
Yeah.
Which I had never experienced before in my life. Because, I was always very average. It was not like, I was doing great at school. So, there was no sense of validation from any other angle. So I never felt like I was good at anything. And then, when you start getting complimented on some things, like for what you're wearing, especially,
you don't know how to take it in.
yeah, you just, it was a very bizarre feeling. I'd never felt like that before. And that's where I think my true passion for jewelry really came, because it actually made me feel things that I never felt before. And as stupid as it sounds, it's like a piece of jewelry, but what it does to you in terms of confidence, what it did for me in terms of finding my true worth or self-worth. I mean, self-worth is a very big word, but just finding myself a little bit, it wasn't just jewelry for me. And that's where it all began. And, it was never like, oh, I'm going to pursue this or I'm going to do anything. It was just one of those things that I felt really strongly about. And it just naturally became such a part of my life.
You know what's crazy is I think I've known you like 9-ish years now. 9 years? 8, 9 years? We grew up very similar. I obviously didn't grow up in a clothes fashion environment, but I grew up also being a big kid into my teens, into my late teens. Again, aside from sports, I didn't get validation from a lot of other places. Aside from the fact that my dad loved that I had a business mind like him, so I got a lot of validation from him. My mom is just a really kind person, but like my siblings at school, not really fitting in because I didn't look like all the other pretty Indian girls. Yeah, so it's so crazy because I think that this is probably the first time we're having deep conversation in the 9 years we've known each other. But I think it's wild that we've had very similar maybe experiences growing up.
Yeah, so you know what I mean.
I do, and I felt that actually in my core as you were speaking. I'm reflecting on myself a little bit, and I'm like, shit, man, that's how I felt, and I don't think I could have articulated it in the same way because I pushed back a lot of those feelings. And I didn't have a thing like it would have never. I still don't know how to dress myself. I still don't know what jewelry to wear. Because I'd never learned along the way. My piece, and this is not about me, but my stuff came from being really good at business, being good at my job, and that's where I got validation. Being good at school-ish, kind of.
Yeah, I think different things drive different people.
Yeah.
Like I was never really academic. I was always very creative. So I think, this whole side came from my creative side. I mean, I always grew up being very good at art or being very good at dancing. So I think I always have that creative side to me. Plus also like I always saw fashion like ever since I was born. I was born into that family.
Born into fashion, yeah.
I always saw it like, so I think like that always sparked that creative side of me.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, I was always encouraged to do like art classes and things like that. So I always grew up with it. So I think besides, and I think that's what also kept me really sane was because I just used to,
Express in art.
Yeah. Like I just used to just sit in my room and paint because I didn't have any friends, know? So it was very lonely, but at the same time, I just had a different, it just like my creative side kind of was the thing that I relied on to not feel lonely, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Art was your friend. Art was your outlet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think like that's, it carves so many personalities, like, like my introverted side and all of these things come from the fact that, kids bullied me at school. I did not have the courage to make friends or, be or have like a normal so-called childhood. Like I did have friends, maybe one or two, but who were also like me, Yeah. And I think and those feelings never go away. Like they just become a part of you.
Do you think you kind of struggle to make friends now because
Absolutely.
you're like I'm an extroverted introvert. I don't know what that means, but that's what people tell me. But I struggle to initiate friendships.
I struggle to even like, I'm being very honest here. I even struggle to be there in a Facebook group with so many people. I just can't. That really, really causes a lot of anxiety for me.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's really overwhelming. Group situations are very overwhelming. I am so afraid of attending networking events because of the same reason. And I'm very good one-on-one. I can have a great chat one-on-one. But when it comes to like a group situation, it really overwhelms me. It's something I'm working on.
Yeah, of course.
And it does not come easy, believe me. Like but it's all these things from your childhood, they just they become a part of you in so many different ways that you don't even realize.
Yeah,
like,
and
where
even
it's
if they're
coming from.
kind of dug deep, if they're stuck down deep, like you can push them down all you want,
Yeah.
but they will project somehow into your adulthood.
And I still feel like a big girl. Like I've always in my head
Which
been
is
a
crazy
big girl.
because you're not. And I've
Yeah.
known you for like 9 years and you've
Yeah.
never been in
But
my eyes.
that's the same person that I am in my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked a lot at it. Like I've
course.
gotten better at coping with it or dealing with it or having the feelings and working with my feelings. I've, become better at it.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't leave you. It's still
Yeah.
always there. You're
It's kind
still
of-
that big girl in your head.
It's the core of your identity.
Yeah,
That's how
absolutely.
you identified and that's how people made you feel. So
Yeah.
you felt like that and people projected that onto you and now it sticks with you. You also mentioned in the corporate world you were bullied.
Yes. So I think when I moved to London, I studied here, so I was familiar with like the culture, the environment, and things like that. And then when I moved here, I started doing a corporate job, and it was just a case of a manager who just sucked all my self-confidence out of me. Like, sometimes just being told that you're not good at anything, no matter what task you do, you'd always be told that, oh, this is not done right or this is not good. That there are different ways of dealing with different people. And I guess that's the job of a good manager, to know how to motivate your employee, like your colleague. But I think in my case, it just didn't work like that. I was constantly made to feel like I wasn't good enough, like whatever I did. And I have always been very good at my work. So even no matter what job I've done, like I was always very good at it. So I think that really hit me personally, because I was just like, okay, but like this is the first. Like I've never not been good at my work because I'm very hardworking. I may not be really, really smart, but I'm really hardworking. And I always learn. I'm just that person who's very curious, who loves to learn. So even if I don't know anything, I will always learn and I will get good at it. And I know that about myself. So I think in that job, it was just like, it was constant. Like I was always told I'm not good enough. Like I'm not doing well. I'm not doing this. And I think that I did not even know for the longest time what was happening to me until like lockdown happened and we were working from home. And every time I would get emails, like I was shivered to even reply to those emails. Wow. It was really bad. And then it was my husband who kind of noticed, and he said, like, what's up with you? Like something is wrong. Like, why are you behaving like this? And little did I know I was getting panic attacks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think all that, when you're surrounded in that environment where you're constantly made to feel bad about yourself, like, and obviously it also brought a lot of the old feelings back. But I'd never really not been good at my work. So it was just one of those things, like, not this. It was kind of like I used to always be very proud that I'm really good at whatever I do.
Yeah.
I've done a whole bunch of different things and I've always been good at them because I've really worked hard to be good at them.
Yeah.
And I think that really made me feel that, okay, this is the time that I need to, like, do something for my own happiness. Like, I mean, work's not going great. I'm getting panic attacks and I need to do something on the side that would really make me feel good. And that's where Melrosia London was born. And it was something I started to do for myself. And again, it was jewelry that, was my saving grace. I was like, I love it so much. And it's something that has always given me joy. Let me try doing this. But also at the same time, while I was, this thought came in my head, I started looking at what was available in the market, what was going on, like what people were wearing. And I found that there was this gap. There was this gap where there was a lot of like really traditional desi jewelry, but there was also like obviously really Western jewelry, but there was never really anything in between that, you could wear with just about anything. You're Indian as well as you're Western. And yeah, like a lot of Indian people had this little contemporary section where they had like a few pieces, but there was never really a brand that had something to offer in that category.
Yeah.
And I always had this really eclectic, unique taste purely because, I just have this eye for jewelry because I love it so much and I've worn it all my life.
Right.
That I was just like, okay, I have that eye. I want to bring something that I love because I used to always get complimented on my jewelry, and even like, going with jewelers with your mother growing up.
Yeah.
Like the jeweler would always be really shocked. You pick up the most unique things.
Wow,
Nobody
yeah.
picks up the things you pick up. And I think that sort of, I knew that about myself. I knew how much I loved it. I knew I had the eye for it. And I was like, okay, like I want to do this. Like I really want to do this for myself. And that's where it started. And until date, like, whoever sees the collection always says that, oh, we've never seen anything like this before.
It's true.
And
it's true.
And I think that's what makes me feel that I got that right. That is what I wanted to do. That is what I wanted to bring to the table. It's not everyone's thing, but if it's your thing, you'll absolutely love it. Like you can't appeal to everybody, and I didn't want to appeal to everybody. I just wanted to appeal to a niche section who would actually appreciate it and love it, and has the eye and wants to wear something different.
Yeah, I have to say, as a very loyal customer, also Melrosia, if anybody's looking, I will randomly, because obviously you pop up on my Instagram, but I will randomly just check what you have to just spend money for the sake of spending money. But and I don't think I've ever seen, I've never seen a necklace like this anywhere. And I always wanted something that had the little Nazar eye in it. And I was like, and I told you that day, I was like, I've been looking at this for days now and I just need it. Because it is true. And I think the jewelry that you have, that you're just the jewelry specifically, I know there's more to the brand, but I think it is a true reflection of you as a person. I feel like I see you in every piece, and I feel like I can see that you've thought about why you need to sell this one piece or why you've created this one piece. What goes on in your head when you're creating a design or when you're selecting a piece that you might see? You don't sell other people's pieces, you just sell your pieces?
I started off as selling as a lot of curation because I honestly had no experience with jewelry. I did not know what I was doing,
right,
but I had the eye for it. So I was like, okay, let me pick a few bits and see, I'll bring them together and that's how I started. And then as the brand grew and as I learned a bit more about jewelry, because I'd never really gotten into making of jewelry. I come from a fashion background.
You make clothes? Your dad makes clothes?
Yeah, not even that, but I studied it, right? I studied clothing and I was I've studied design and all of that. So I knew all of that, but I'd never really... Jewelry is very different. The process is different. It's very technical. So is clothes. But it's not the easiest things because there's lots of different materials involved. There's a lot of technicality. Even 1 mm, 2 mm could make a hell lot of a difference, right? So I did not really know how to do all of that. So I think that when I started, it was just a concept and I was doing it as a side thing. I didn't want to invest so much and I did not know how to make jewelry. So I was just okay, let me curate a few bits. Let me see how it goes. And slowly as the brand grew, I decided this is great. People are liking it. And I have so many of my own ideas. And maybe now is the time that I should start experimenting with my own collections. And that's how I started. And that's how I sort of found that, okay, maybe this is what I want to do. Maybe now is the time that I need to expand and make my own collections.
Right.
So it started off as that, and now it's pretty much, I would say about 90% our own and maybe 10% here and there curated. Also because, those, you can't make everything.
Right.
And there's certain things
Not
people
yet,
absolutely love.
Yeah.
So you don't want to... You still want to keep that, but there is a whole lot of other stuff that you want to bring on the table that reflects you or your brand, right? So I think, slowly I learned how to design. I learned how to, I learned the technicalities. I learned the process. I spent a lot of time, speaking to a lot of different manufacturers, artisans, and just understanding a lot more about how to make things from scratch.
So let's go back. So we're in COVID. We start this. Let's call it a passion project. So it's a side hustle, really. Were you maybe at the outset? Were you looking to make money, or were you let me just hone in on my creative side of my brain and see where this goes?
Honestly, when I started, I didn't think much of anything. I just wanted to it was just because I was struggling in my corporate job. I needed a creative outlet. And I started this on the side feeling like, okay, this is going to keep me happy. And the days that I'm, it's just going to bring me some validation that I was probably missing at work. And it's when people are going to like it, I'm going to feel happy. And when they're going to buy, like it was just like that. Like, I think what happened after that was I was signed off sick because I just was not mentally fit to work because I was getting panic attacks so frequently. And while I was obviously signed off sick for like a couple of months, I was doing this on the side. But the plan was to obviously, and when the point came that I had to get back to work, I just couldn't because, the anxiety just wouldn't let me. Like I was just like, no, this is not something I can do. So I quit work and then I was jobless. I was earning like £300 from my business. At that point, I was on Etsy, selling on Etsy, whatever little I could sell. So it was just like earning that much when I left my corporate job, not because the intention was to make the business big, but like I was mentally not fit to work. And I think that transpired into like, even when I was trying to find a job, I just felt like I wasn't good enough. So every job description I saw, I felt like I wouldn't be able to do it. Up to a point, like even if it was like a receptionist job, I was just like, I talk so differently. I don't have the same accent as everybody. Will I be even able to pick up the phone and answer calls?
Body image aside, like we've talked about this and your work, it's something you've worked on and you're working on. Let's talk about your accent, because how does that, and I know I come from a place of privilege being an immigrant. I'm from America. I don't know if that counts for people. People love my accent. I don't know why. I guess because they hear it on TV, right? So my accent is a novelty. So I come from a place of privilege. How does your accent impact what? Well, now I understand how you felt internally, like people aren't going to accept my accent if I'm a receptionist. But how does that play now into business? Does it impact you? Or are you like, well, actually, I'm a businesswoman and my stuff is from India and I'm Indian and this is how I speak?
It impacts me a lot, I feel. Maybe it's more mental than anything else. And slowly I have realized that it's more me than it's people. I think people have been really kind. Nobody's ever said anything to me, but I think it's more internal than external. And, the same incidents where I'm talking about, I did not even have the courage to even take a receptionist job because I was so conscious of my accent. It's also because, like, the Indian accent is made fun of, right? Like, most people make fun of the Indian accent. I don't think I have a very literal Indian accent, but, like...
Yeah, you don't.
It's still... It is still an Indian accent, Pronunciation of certain words would be different because that's how we were taught there. And it does not come from an Indian accent. It's purely because how we were taught.
Correct.
Right? So, I think... I was always so conscious of even saying anything on social media or even like doing a voiceover or even showing up, like putting myself in front of the camera and talking. It has taken me years and years and years to get to that point where I'm able to do that. So I've had to fight a lot of my own internal demons to actually get there.
Where does your confidence come from now?
I think the day you realize that it's you and it's not anything else. It's your limiting belief. This is what you have fed your own mind. It's not somebody else who has ever told me. My husband speaks British English. He's born and raised here. He's never made me feel like that. So I had to really unlearn certain things and relearn how I saw myself. And it was more about telling myself that it's okay. Like, so what? So what? Like, I am doing something most people cannot do.
Right.
I have to accept that about myself. I have to own that. And I have to own that this is my accent. And I did. Like, I started off like by doing like a little 1-minute video on like maybe stories because it was just short-lived and it would go away in 24 hours and not many people see it. And slowly when I saw like, okay, and that sort of gave me the courage to do a little bit more. So I did like voiceovers and now I'm able to put myself in front of the camera and talk. And I never in my wildest dreams thought I could do that because I was so conscious. I was conscious of the way I spoke. I was conscious of the way I looked. I was conscious of my weight. I was conscious of, just like being different from the people who are here. And girls who are here and people who are born and raised here. And there's so many things. Like, I don't wear makeup, but people here like wear makeup. They don't even step out of the house without wearing makeup. And I tried to be that person, but that is just not me.
Right.
I I just decided to be me. And I just do it from a place of me, putting my authentic self out there. And you know what? Not everyone will love you. Not everyone will relate with you. But whoever does can stay, and whoever doesn't will unfollow you.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. You
Yeah.
cannot appeal to everybody. And I think once you start realizing that, and once you start accepting yourself and accepting, that this is how it works, I think you just learn to put yourself out there slowly. It took me years to do it. And I also feel my growth was very slow because of that, because there were so many limiting beliefs I was dealing with. There were so many things I did not have a network here. I did not know anybody when I started the business. I did not have this word of mouth, the trickle effect. I did not have friends who could tell friends, and all of that. So my growth was definitely slower, but I did it myself.
Yeah.
I did it without any help. I mean, not help, obviously I have family who has helped, but not in terms of networks and, knowing people and, telling your school friends or this person and, they tell further, or people posting about you on Instagram. All that I didn't have. So in true sense, I can say I did it myself.
Yeah, totally. I've seen your journey from the beginning, and I've seen some of the challenges you faced also in the beginning. We can talk about those if you want to, but I've seen you grow. I've seen you start from. I was looking for some earrings last night, and the box that I pulled out was jewel jar.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, that's very timely actually.
Yeah,
it was a little brown the jewel jar.
That was
and I was
the
like, oh man,
one.
that's where we started. That's where this all started from.
Yeah,
and so. As somebody who's been a witness to your journey, I mean, I can second the fact that you have in fact done this yourself, and you've built something amazing. And so, look, we've talked about sort of your confidence and things like that. You tell me, do you want to talk about your business? Do you want to talk about your journey, your internal journey anymore? What do you want people to gain out of this conversation?
I think I just want people to feel that little things like clothes or jewelry can actually do so much for your self-confidence. It's not just a materialistic item. There's so much more to it, because I'm the witness of it. I know how it's made me feel and how it's become my purpose. And I really want other women to feel the same way. I don't want them to look at it as a piece of jewelry or a piece of clothing, and because it can do so much for you, for your self-worth, for your confidence. We just don't give it enough credit sometimes. So I'm happy to talk about the challenges. I'm happy to talk about some of the things that that I'm doing now to take the business to the next level, whatever you think.
Actually, let's talk about Melrosia, the brand, because it's not a jewelry brand, as I learned yesterday.
Yeah, it is not. So again, I think when you're talking about challenges, I think every business after a point faces the challenge of scaling the business.
Yeah.
And I think after 2 or 3 years of running the business, I realized, oh, well, this is very stagnant. No matter what I do, I'm not able to grow this. And, I need to put myself out there a lot more. I need to, have a community. I need to sort of, and I wasn't able to do all of that. So, it was in the initial years. So I did start doing that. And I did see, obviously, I have built a community over the years, but I still felt like I was really struggling to scale the business. And as a self-funded entrepreneur, there's only so much you can put in without reaping the profit, the benefits. And, you have that limitation. And I think a couple, maybe 2023, at the end of 2023, I was contemplating, and I was just what, I've been so stagnant. The first couple of years were amazing. And now I just don't know, I don't know what to do. I just have to keep doing pop-ups in a lot of different markets to make the money, but that's not sustainable. I'm burnt out. Like, I don't know how to keep this going. I'm really tired. I'm at a pop-up or a market every weekend, and it's just, I have no life. Like, I work 7 days, and it was just too much for one person to manage. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't make the money. And it just didn't feel sustainable. Like, going online, there's so much competition. There's so many other things. You need a lot of investment to run ads and marketing and, having that hefty marketing budget. You need to be funded. You need all that money to scale the business. And I was just like, I don't know how am I supposed to do all of that? So it was, there came a point when I was, having this chat with my husband, and I was like, I think like I need to stop. Like, I need to like get a job.
Oh, wow.
And I know I love doing this, but there's only so much you can put in the business, without getting anything in return. And he said, okay, you know what? Like, it's fine. Give it one last year, evaluate it at the end of 2024 and see where you go from there. And in this 1 year, try everything that you have in your mind so that you have no regrets at the end of 2024.
Wow.
And I did that. Like, in 2024, I did so many things differently. I could do revamp the website several times, got a CRO person on a board, got lots of mentors, like put myself out there in the most authentic way, did lots of different things. But I think at the end of 2024, I was still feeling like, oh my God, like, I don't know where this is going. And then when I came, like, on the side, I was like, at the side, I was doing a few other things. Like, I was helping my dad do a few bits. And I just kind of felt like, okay, maybe this is the time I should quit. And then something happened. Like, sometimes you have this internal voice, your gut feeling, which we all sometimes ignore, which we shouldn't ignore, which tells you absolutely what the right thing to do is. I had this feeling that said that, okay, I think I need to do something more with the brand. I need to pivot it. I need to make it bigger than what it is. And I was, at that same very point, I was really struggling with my own personal health, like not health, but like, the weight and, as you grow older, your body changes. And I was kind of, I've gained like so much weight in the last 1 or 2 years, and it wasn't like sitting well with me. I was working at it and I was trying to accept it. I was going through therapy. I was working on how to make myself feel better. And I was like, okay, I'm really struggling to find clothes in my wardrobe that would make me feel good. So why not do something about it?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, fine. What do I love wearing? What do I feel good in? That's what I want to make. And I started by launching a range of blouses because I feel it's the easiest. It is something that women of every age can own and wear it in their own way. And that's what I did. So I decided to pivot the brand and to make it more than just jewelry. It just felt like the right time and the right thing, the right next step for the brand to become more of a lifestyle brand rather than just a jewelry brand.
How did it feel going from jewelry, which made you so happy, even from a young age, obviously now into adulthood, and then going from clothes, something that you dreaded as a child and something that kind of intimidated you as a child, and now you're like, actually, this is a part of the brand that I created. How was that mental shift for you?
It actually came very naturally. I think because I was, when I was in therapy, I was really working on, my body image and, and how I look at myself. And I was like, there's no better time to face this.
Yeah.
To actually make something to actually design something that would make me feel good.
Right.
And I understand a lot about body types. I studied this, because I was struggling with it all my life. I've read like every single book that exists on body shapes and sizes and, what kind of body should wear what kind of clothes. I knew of that. I was like, okay, so I want to use those principles and I want to make clothes that would actually flatter most type of bodies.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I did the blouses. And if you see the way I even talk about the blouses is not just a blouse, I talk about, why this is cut like that and who is it going to flatter. Even when you see the website, you'll always see notes about what body type or who it would be suitable for. And that's what I wanted to do because I have struggled with it all my life. I understand my body really well because I know proportions. I know the different shapes. I know clothing can actually make you feel good if they're done the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, there was no plus size clothing, so I could never fit into anything. But now there are so many options. You can really find things that work for you. And that's why, when I look at the brand and I look at the future, I always feel like I want to empower women. And I don't want women to feel the way I did all my life, just running away from clothes. I want them to actually be able to understand them and wear them according to their body type or what would suit them. And that's why, even for the next collections that we're designing, we're always making sure that we choose the silhouettes that would suit, which are versatile enough to suit a lot of body types and not just the really...
Size zero.
Yeah, like the size, the conventional sizes, I would say. So I think it came from a place of I need to do this for me, but I also need to do this. I have so much knowledge that I want to do this for people who are in the same boat as me. And I want women to feel happy about it. I want them to be able to wear the clothes and feel good about themselves, which I kind of lacked all my life. So it's kind of a way for me to do that and at the same time help others do that as well.
I just want to say, when we started this conversation and we talked about clothing as a childhood, you didn't have a happy face and now you're talking about it and you can't stop smiling. And that shows that you really fought whatever that demon was.
Yeah.
Like the negativity about clothing feels like it's left your body, like it's gone.
Yeah.
It might still be there somewhere, but from what I just observed, in the last 40 minutes that we've spoken, that's just how we started and how we talked about clothes in the beginning and how we're talking about clothes now. There's a huge difference in your outlook on that.
Yeah, and I think I've done a lot of work to feel like that. It's been years of conditioning that I've had to fight, years of, feeling the way I was feeling. I had to put those feelings aside and I'd really have to do this in a way for myself, to tell myself that no matter what size you are, you can look good. And, I've been big, I've lost all the weight, I worked really hard, lost all the weight, felt good about my body for very brief, and then, gained weight again. So, it's about accepting that. It's about owning that. It's about saying that it's okay, it happens. But life doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
And this is a constant reminder for me as well. When I'm designing these clothes and I'm doing all of this, it's a constant reminder for me to tell myself that it's okay. You can look good at any size. You just have to not look at the size. You just have to find the right things for your body.
Do you think vulnerability and empowerment go hand in hand?
It can and it cannot. It depends on what you do with it. Some people get really absorbed, but some people make it their strength.
What do you do?
I think I've been in both places. I've really let vulnerability get to me and really I would say been depressed about it. I have, I've isolated myself, I've put myself in all those places, but at the same then I have also, when I started this business, I have also pivoted that. I've fought that mindset and I have, empowered myself and other women, I would say. So I have been in both places. And it's not easy, but it's doable.
Yeah. If you could go back and go to 11-year-old, 12-year-old Parneet and sit with her, maybe in front of that jewelry box, what would you want her to know? What would you tell her?
I'd tell her we did this. We did it. And at that stage, I never really thought I'd be running a business, to be very, very honest, because I just always felt it was not for me. I'm not a risk taker. I'm an introvert. I just don't like getting attention. I just like working behind the scenes. But I fought all of that.
Yeah.
And I don't think as an entrepreneur, as a solo business owner, we give ourselves enough credit for it. We're constantly looking at all the things we need to do, but we forget the things we have done. And my husband constantly reminds me, every time I'm saying, oh, this is not working out, or that's not, he's always like, but do you see what all has worked out?
Yeah.
You forget about that. You're always thinking about the next thing and the challenge and, what you need to do, but you always forget what you have done. So I would tell that little girl, we did this. Because it's not easy, but we did it.
Yeah.
We fought those demons.
Are you okay? You're a little bit emotional.
No, it's fine. It is. See, we don't really talk about these things.
Yeah.
And when you do talk about them, obviously that emotion does come to the surface because, at the end of the day, it's a journey and it's not always easy. There's lots of things. I mean, everybody has to deal with growing up and even, in your life. And these things, they're not always pleasant.
Yeah, but look at, like you just said, like you did it and look at what you've done and look at, and I can foresee what you're going to do, but what is next for you? I know, we've started with jewelry, we went into clothes, but what's next for Melrosia, question one, but what's next for you as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a woman? What's next?
I think it's about owning myself, like owning who I am as a person. And I think I've never been able to do that wholeheartedly, And I think for my next step, I don't want to worry about, how I look, how I dress, not dress, but like who I am as a person. Like I just really want to own that. I really want to be me, and I really want to accept it wholeheartedly. And I want to operate from that place because I think all my life I haven't been able to do that. And I think I want that to translate in the brand as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I do everything from a place of, my intuition. And I did all of that. I got experts. I tried to seek the help. Nothing really worked. That's why I say your gut feeling is everything when you're running a business. Because nobody else can tell you what you should do because only you know what you should do.
Yeah.
And I think that was my biggest lesson in the last year when I decided to pivot. Every expert told me this is not the right thing to do. You need to first nail one before you get into the other. But my gut was saying something else. I was at that stage where I was really working at myself and I was really starting to feel good about who I am. Yes, obviously weight bothers everybody, but feeling good about who I am in this body.
Yeah.
And I think owning that personally is a huge milestone for me. And that's exactly what I want to do with the brand as well. I want women to feel good. I want them to, look at it the way I look at it.
Yeah. A bit, whilst we can feel great on the inside, you might have a lot of self-love, but how we see ourselves in the mirror and how people look at us also as a woman, it does impact us.
Yeah. But again, how the world views you versus how you view yourself are two completely different things.
Yeah.
I think we are so overly critical about our own selves, but the world doesn't look at us like that.
Yeah.
People don't 90% of the times people won't. People just think you're good. You'll always think good about the other person, but you say such bad things about yourself.
Yeah, we're our biggest critics.
Yeah. And I see that, when I'm standing in a market stall and I'm there's a tray of rings, and no matter who would come, they would pick up that ring and they'd say, oh, we've got such fat fingers. Well, that's not true though, is it? I see them and I'm thinking God, your fingers are so pretty. Why would you even say that? So it's a clear example of how overly critical we are about ourselves. And the world doesn't see you like that.
It took me a long time to realize nobody's actually looking at me.
Exactly.
It did. I used to be people are looking at me. Even now, I hate going into the office. But then I have to realize, nobody in the office actually cares about what shoes I'm wearing, what top I'm wearing, whatever. Nobody's looking at me. I'm the only person looking at me. And it takes so long to get out of that mindset to think the people that care will tell you, and nobody else actually cares.
Exactly. And I think, it's so hard to actually get that we're so absorbed in thinking about what people are going to think, especially like in the Asian culture,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like
a huge part of South
it's a
Asian culture.
huge part of it. And I think we're so absorbed in it that we forget. Like, so I decided to just be me.
Yeah.
I don't like I said, like, I don't wear makeup. I don't like wearing makeup. Like I would just wear it if I want to, you know?
Right.
It's not like I can't step out of the house without makeup, no matter how, like, even if I have like an acne on my face or whatever. I just feel like I've never been that person and I never want to be that person. Like, and then I did the same with my hair. When I was little, I used to always say, I love salt, pepper hair. I'm never gonna dye my hair.
Yeah.
And then when, I started getting the grays, I started coloring my hair. And then, there came a point and I was like, but I hate doing this. Why do I do this?
Yeah.
Just so that I can show the world that I have black hair? Or to show the world I'm younger? I don't look my age? Or for the uncles and aunties at weddings who would be like, oh, like, look, you've got white hair.
Yeah, so do you.
Yeah.
That's you say to them.
And that made me really think. That really made me think, am I being myself? Am I really doing justice to myself? Like I always said, I don't want to do this, but here I am doing this. And I stopped. And I get the comments all the time. I just choose to say, I'm going to own it. I am owning my white hair because it's natural. It happens to everybody. And there is no reason for me to hide it. I am getting older. And I accept it. And I like that I'm getting older. I'm getting wiser.
Yeah.
I would never be able to do the things that I'm doing if I was younger. So if I feel like that, I should own that about myself.
One of my, like, she's one of the school moms. Her name's Dr. Pavin on Instagram. She had premature, like, gray hairs, and she totally owns it. She's so hot. I need to get her on this podcast. She's like, not in a weird way, but she's absolutely gorgeous. And she was so self-conscious about her grays, and then she started owning them. She has a whole thing on her Insta about how she owns her grays. And I have to say, I think she's probably about my age, maybe give or take a year. And I'm like, she makes me want to have gray hair.
Yeah, look,
like she makes you want to be like, actually, that's how you own it. That's how you own it. And when you feel it in the inside, that's when you can tell when somebody owns it on the inside, because I wouldn't have, until you now just said, I didn't even notice, right? And it's only because you've owned it internally that it's not projecting. You're not like, oh no, I'm conscious about my hair, or I'm conscious about not wearing makeup, or whatever. Yeah. And I think that really reflects how you feel on the inside, reflects on the outside.
Yeah. And exactly what I want to do through this brand. That's the entire thing. Like, I've built this brand on the feeling of how I felt miserable and something that makes me feel good. And that's exactly how I want everyone else to feel when they wear the things. Because it's not about the things, it's about the feeling that they actually bring to you.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's all about that, actually. Everything is about feelings at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
So why not feel the things that we buy? And that's why, even through the brand, I always talk about like, but like we don't need too many things. We need just a few things that make us feel good. And that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. Look, on this podcast, the whole point of this podcast is to sort of explore the choices that shape us, or it's a rebels and rituals. And I'm not saying you're a rebel, but I'm saying you're doing things out of the norm that maybe a young South Asian female probably wouldn't do on a norm. You see very few young South Asian entrepreneurs. You see very young women our age that are, stepping outside their comfort zone, quitting your 9 to 5. And I know you probably don't feel like a rebel or don't feel very rebellious, but I feel like there are a lot of boxes that you've unticked and things that you've said yourself that you've unlearned. And so what is your one truth about resilience or self-worth that captures both the rebel in you and the rituals that you tend to keep?
I think it's about not comparing yourself to anybody else. I would say it took me a long time to get there. I've fought a lot to get there. But just, putting your blinders on and actually doing what you think is the best thing to do without looking at what the world is doing or what, so you're not getting influenced by that. And also not comparing yourself to others. Everyone's journey is different. Like I said that in the beginning also, my growth has been slower than probably a lot of other entrepreneurs I see who started at the same time as I did. But their journey was a lot different than mine. I was dealing with a lot. I still am dealing with a lot. So I think that would be the one thing. And I think I have been really, if you talk about being rebellious, I think I have been rebellious in fighting those feelings, fighting that and not looking. And it's not easy when it's like shoved in your face all the time through Instagram. It's not easy to not look at it. But yeah, like I think I do try my best to not look at it. And yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Parneet. Thanks for being here. Thanks
You're
for
very
talking to
welcome.
me. Talk to me more off this podcast because I have so much to learn from you. But thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Be sure to check out melrosia.com and use code REBELS15 for 15% off your first order. Links will be below. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps more people discover these conversations. Don't forget to follow me on socials, also linked below. Until next time, keep questioning the rituals, keep honoring your truth, and never be afraid to rebel. Catch you on the next pod. Stay blessed.